Do you ever feel like your life isn't in your control? Because that's exactly how I felt just 2 years ago when I had my 9 to 5. After 7 years chasing pay raises, promotions, and success in the corporate world, I walked away from it all. Now I have my own business and I could not even imagine going back to my old life. Today I'm revealing the 6 shocking truths that made me quit and how they might just make you look at your 9 to 5 differently. Stick around and by the end, you'll know if it's time for you to chart your own path. Now, the number one thing I realized from working at different companies, even in different fields, was that there was a common thread. And I realized toxic culture is the norm. You know, maybe you're feeling this about the place you work and you're like, oh, my workplace is so toxic. The people around me, the boss, the hours, the expectations, all of it. But what I realized is that it's not just one place. The majority of companies have this toxic culture. And if you're one of the lucky few who loves where you work, you're treated with respect, you're paid super fairly, you have a nice work-life balance, I'm super happy for you. And you're very lucky. And if that's what you want for your life, you're blessed. But for the rest of you who understand what I'm talking about, is not just one place. It is the norm. It is the average. And my realization and the reason I think that most companies are like this is that hurt people hurt people. I think when you spend your entire life in a company, in an industry where you have to treat people poorly, walk on people for success, I think it just breeds that culture. And maybe you're unhappy with the things you had to do. Maybe you don't feel good about yourself. And that can breed anger and resentment, but you also need the money. And that just creates this toxicity in people that gets passed on to the next employees and the employees below you. And the crazy thing is, it seems like in most places, you have to do these toxic things in order to succeed. For instance, at my last company, if you weren't taking credit for other people's work, you probably weren't going to get the promotion. You had to be loud, the loudest person in the room, not the most useful person in the room, not the smartest, not the best employee or the hardest working. You just had to be loud and get noticed and take credit for other people's works. Maybe someone shared an idea with you and you present it as your own and you don't mention the other person. It's happened to me where I came up with an idea, I shared it, it was just brushed away, and then my manager went and told that same idea to the executives and got all the praise for it. I got absolutely nothing. So how am I supposed to get farther ahead when everyone's just walking on top of me? And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be the hurt person hurting other people. And so when I realized that this was how it is, I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be in that world. And so I left. It was too much stress and too much pain, and it was manifesting physically. I just couldn't do it. So it's the norm. Don't feel bad. It's not just your company. If you feel this way, it's not just you. I guarantee there are so many people out there who are having this exact same experience. And just behind all these polished mission statements of work-life balance and what else do they got? We respect our employees and we value you. It's a culture of burnout. It's a culture of competition, and it's a competition of silence. Not even a competition. It just is silence about mental health. They'll talk about, we love mental health, but if you're trying to take a mental health day, you risk losing your job. And that sort of ties into the second point, which is that you are valued in numbers. You really are a number. And again, no company is going to say that. They're going to say, we respect our employees and we value all of them, but you're a number at the end of the day. If it's the end of the fourth quarter for the company and they are under their projections, they haven't hit their targets and they need to save money, you are at risk of getting laid off. And it's happened. It happened to my wife. No warnings, no anything. They can just lay you off because the numbers need to add up for them. And so that they can get their bonuses and that they can keep things moving. And it's not even that I necessarily blame them. Like, It's the person who owns the company wants to make sure that they're getting taken care of. All right. And I don't think that justifies treating people like garbage, but I believe there is some sort of middle ground. They put in this work to build this company. Yeah, they want to make sure that it's working for them. I get it. But I didn't want to be at the butt end of that. I didn't want to be the one at risk of just losing everything because other people weren't performing properly. Even if you're doing an amazing job, you're at risk and you are a number and you are part of their overall numbers and projections. I remember even someone's dad had passed away. They took 2 days off and were back at work because the client's needs come first. There were project deadlines. And this person knew that if they don't come back, there's a very good chance that they could get laid off. And this is what I mean. Numbers come first. And I didn't want to just live that kind of life. And I know all of this kind of ties together, but the third thing I realized is that the whole we want to give you autonomy and freedom and we value your opinions, it's a myth. Not true at most companies. The whole empowerment concept is just a buzzword. Every decision required layers of approval, which I understand, but then it gets, even if it's a good idea, it gets lost in like immediate needs of things that need to get done, or other people don't really understand what you're saying and it gets lost in the chain of command. Or like I mentioned earlier, people just ignore you and then someone above you, someone more senior than you, just takes your idea later when it's more convenient. All of these things happen. And like small valuable ideas that can actually create positive change, they get smothered and suffocated in this bureaucracy and this chain of command. And I even worked for startups. And while there is more opportunity there for you to share those ideas, at the end of the day, if it's not important enough for the CEO or the people above you, even if it's a really good idea that could help the company a lot, it just gets smothered because it's not your decision to make. You don't have the power to implement these things and try them out, and most people won't give you that shot. And I'm someone who likes to bet on myself. I'm someone who really tries to make things better, and so that really sucked for me. I felt stunted, like I felt stuck. And this kind of ties into the next point, which is that real growth is limited. So you might be fighting for a promotion. Maybe you have these ideas, you want to change things, and you want to also learn more, and you want to become a better person and a smarter person and be able to do more. But promotions didn't mean learning new skills. It just meant inheriting more stress with very little extra pay and not actually getting any real development. I wasn't getting more access to knowledge about how things worked and how I could apply some of my ideas and make things better. I didn't have that opportunity. It was just dump more stress, more urgent fires that had to get put out, manage more people, and just deal with their complaints, which I still didn't think were important. There's a difference between something being urgent and important. Just because something's urgent, it needs to be dealt with right now, doesn't mean it's an important thing. It doesn't mean that's the thing you should be working on. But anyways, the prioritization of things was wrong and it wasn't in my control to fix, even with promotions. So I didn't feel like I was growing, and I just felt like I was getting more gray hairs and more stress, and my physical health was deteriorating fast. And one of the biggest things is that this ties into the fifth point, which is that I didn't feel like there was a real purpose behind what I was doing. Purpose takes the back seat compared to clients' demands, day-to-day tasks that need to get done. And like I said, while day-to-day tasks are important, often in these kinds of companies, they are not the important things. And if you're just doing things because they're urgent and they're not important, the company's not going in a good direction. And then that's probably why the profit margin is below the projection. And then that's why you're at risk of losing your job. So you can't control what everyone else is doing in the company, and you're always the one at risk. And on top of that, the work itself was unfulfilling. For instance, I was an architect. I designed custom homes, But at some point, and they were beautiful homes, don't get me wrong, it was cool, but at some point I was like, I'm just designing really nice homes for wealthy people and I'm getting paid pennies for it. And it's a lot of stress and a lot of time. And I trained really hard for a long time, got a bachelor's and a master's degree. And I just wasn't seeing the results from it. And I just felt like, what am I doing with my life? Is this the rest of it? Because it doesn't make sense. So yeah, I wanted purpose in what I was doing. I knew I had a lot to offer the world. I just had to find how I could do it. I wanted to help people, but this wasn't it. And this kind of brings me to my last point about, I'm going to call it the golden handcuffs. And the golden handcuffs are essentially, I needed the job, right? The salary, which while it was lower than what I deserved to be paid, I needed it. Any health insurance, maybe you have stock options. I didn't, but maybe you do. But all of this stuff kept me trapped in the cycle. And I was so unhappy and so dissatisfied and in so much pain, but I needed it. These are the golden handcuffs, the money keeping you trapped. I was afraid of leaving because financial responsibilities, but the cost was my health and my happiness. And eventually, I decided to start my own business. I got it up and running, and then I quit my job. And I've never looked back since. And that's why I'm here making this content, sharing my experiences, because I couldn't ignore the truths any longer. I was unhealthy physically. I was stressed all the time. My mental health had deteriorated and my soul felt destroyed and drained from all of this time in the corporate world. And so if this resonates with you, I just want to say, don't let fear hold you back. Your potential is bigger than any corporate title or that promotion people keep telling you is so incredible. Okay. Now, I'm not saying quit your job right now. Okay. I'm not saying quit it tomorrow, but all I'm saying is I urge you to start looking for a better way, because I promise you that they exist. So if anything I said hits home, please drop a comment and let me know. I want to know if other people out there actually feel what I'm saying and feel the things that I felt in the past. And let's talk about it. And if you like, I'll leave a link in the description below where I do talk about things further and in more depth. There's some extra videos and trainings. You can check it out if you like. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts, and I'll see you lovely people soon.